If you love mysteries and have a soft spot for an unlikely hero, then I have a series that I think is going to become one of your new favorites. Let me introduce you to the woman who is a little bit Kinsey Milhone, a little bit Miss Marple, and a whole lot of herself, Mrs. Pollifax. Hello book friends, I'm Jen and welcome back to my reading life, and welcome to a video that is going to be a spotlight on one of my favorite mystery series. Actually, this is one of my favorite cozy adjacent mystery series. I use this phrase a lot on my channel. I've used it frequently in some of my other mystery recommendation videos, but if you're new here, let me explain to you a little bit about what I mean by cozy adjacent. A cozy adjacent mystery is a mystery that has a little bit more depth and perhaps a little bit of a bite to it that a traditional cozy mystery does not have, but it does not veer into the dark or graphic or violent mysteries that you think of when you are reading something that is more like a police procedural or a thriller. So if you are looking for that sweet spot between cozy and something a little bit darker, then I think cozy adjacent is what you are looking for. And the Mrs. Pollifax mystery series epitomizes exactly what I mean by cozy adjacent. And speaking of cozy, I'm going to take a quick sip of my cuppa, and then we are going to dive into all things Mrs. Pollifax. Mrs. Pollifax is the brainchild of Dorothy Gilman, and Dorothy Gilman began writing the Mrs. Pollifax series in 1966. The first book is The Unexpected Mrs. Pollifax. In this, we are introduced to Mrs. Pollifax, who is a grandmother in her 60s. She feels like maybe there is something missing in her life, or perhaps more that she is still capable of doing. And so she takes it upon herself one day to walk into her local office of the CIA and offer up her services. Through a series of misunderstandings, they actually hire her to be a courier for the CIA, and she heads off on her first mission to Mexico City. One of the things I love about Emily Pollifax is that she is a wonderful reminder that it is never too late to reinvent yourself. Here is a woman in her 60s who discovered an entire new chapter of her life, and there is something just quietly inspiring about that. If you are looking for a mature main character, one who leaps off the page with life and vitality, then Mrs. Pollifax is the woman for you. There are 14 books in the Mrs. Pollifax series. The series began, as I mentioned, in 1966 with The Unexpected Mrs. Pollifax, and it ended in the year 2000 with Mrs. Pollifax Unveiled. And in between, Mrs. Pollifax heads off on many, many adventures. I get lots of questions when I talk about different mystery series as to whether or not you should read the books in order. And I absolutely think with Mrs. Pollifax, you should read them all in order because there are characters who recur, there are developments in Emily Pollifax's own personal life, and I think you'll miss out if you don't read the books in order. I do have to confess that I accidentally read book 10 before I read book 9, and I would have stopped once I realized it, but I was already about 50 pages in before it dawned on me that I was reading them out of order. And while there were a few spoilers in book 10, of course I still went back and read book 9, so they can certainly be read out of order, but I think for the most enjoyment that you can get out of the series, definitely read them in order. I'm going to briefly share all of the titles in order so that you know what they are, and I will have them listed also in the description box below in series order from book 1 to book 14. The books in series order are The Unexpected Mrs. Pollifax, The Amazing Mrs. Pollifax, The Elusive Mrs. Pollifax, A Palm for Mrs. Pollifax, Mrs. Pollifax on Safari, Mrs. Pollifax on the China Station, Mrs. Pollifax and the Hong Kong Buddha, Mrs. Pollifax and the Golden Triangle, Mrs. Pollifax and the Whirling Dervish, Mrs. Pollifax and the Second Thief, Mrs. Pollifax Pursued, Mrs. Pollifax and the Lion Killer, Mrs. Pollifax Innocent Tourist, and our final book, Mrs. Pollifax Unveiled. My favorite thing about this series is that it is such a wonderful way to armchair travel to some very exotic locales. From Mexico City, as I mentioned in the first book, to China, to Morocco, to Africa, to many, many, many more places. Mrs. Pollifax is quite the globetrotter, and you get to go along with her. And there are lots of amazing descriptions of these places, and I think that is one of my favorite things about this series. Of course, second only to Mrs. Pollifax herself, whom I absolutely adore. This series will absolutely hook you from book 1 all the way until book 14. I absolutely adore these new editions put out by Farrago Publishers. I will have all of these editions linked down in the description box below. The mass market paperbacks, I believe some of them are available, but most of these you'd have to find secondhand. I actually think I'm going to replace my mass market copies because the print is small and of course the paper is yellowing, and I just find these Farrago editions are much easier to read on my aging eyes. Plus, I just love how they look, and I love how their spines look all stacked together. Mrs. Pollifax is absolutely one of those series you could binge read from start to finish in a very short period of time. I love it so much. I have been stretching out finishing my first read through of the series. I still have the final 3 books to read in the series, and I'm definitely going to be finishing them by this summer. So I will be having wrap-ups of these coming very soon. I just finished Mrs. Pollifax Pursued and absolutely loved it, of course. I love how intrepid Mrs. Pollifax is. I think she is inspiring in the way that she handles herself in all of these crazy situations she finds herself in. Now, do you need to suspend your disbelief a little bit here? Yes, you do. But if you just open your mind up to the concept of the series and go along for the ride, it is just so much fun. Mrs. Pollifax has lots of ups and downs on her adventures, and she does get herself into some tight corners at different moments in time, and you will find yourself racing through the pages to find out what happens. But I promise you, everything is always going to turn out okay in these books in the end. And I really have enjoyed meeting all of the different characters that Mrs. Pollifax encounters throughout her travels. And she really is a woman who draws to her the best kinds of people. And I just really love that about her as well. I just find these books to be, for lack of a better phrase, a breath of fresh air. I think that speaks a lot to a series that was first published in the late 1960s. I think if you enjoy mysteries like the Vera Wong mystery series that is currently out, or the Thursday Murder Club series that is also currently being written, then don't miss out on Mrs. Pollifax just because she's a backlist series that nobody is talking about. I'm talking about her. I highly recommend her. I think if you like fast-paced adventure stories with warm characters that you can get behind, with a main character who is both mature and intrepid and spunky, relies heavily on her own intuition and know-how and fortitude to get her out of some very sticky situations, then I think the Mrs. Pollifax series is one for you. And again, if you need a reminder that it's never too late to reinvent yourself or write another chapter in your story, then Mrs. Pollifax might be the quietly inspiring series you need to read. That will do it for today's video, book friends. I hope you enjoyed this little deep dive into the Mrs. Pollifax series. I would love to chat with you in the comments. Is this a series that you've already read? Have you started it? Have you finished it? Do you love it? Or are you now going to pick it up after you heard me talk about it? I highly recommend it. I think if you enjoy cozy adjacent mysteries, then this is a series not to be missed. And if you're here but you don't have anything you'd like to add in the comments, but you want to let me know that you were here because those comments really do help my channel, well, let's lean into that adventure side of these stories and leave me an adventurous emoji, something that signifies travel or an exotic location, whatever that means to you. Leave those emojis. I love seeing them and knowing that you were here. And if you did enjoy this video, if you could hit that like button and also the hype button. I've gotten it fixed, everyone. Thank you for letting me know it wasn't working on my videos. I really would love it if you could hit both of those things. They really do help my channel and they allow new viewers to find me on YouTube as well. And if you're a new viewer and you haven't yet subscribed, I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button and join my cozy corner of BookTube. And thank you all so much for being here, for all your lovely comments. I love chatting all things books with you in the comment section of my videos. And as always, I'll be back with another video very soon. And until then, I wish you a good book and a warm cuppa. Bye.